There is a fear that never screams, never announces itself, never shows up like panic or anxiety, yet it slowly eats you from the inside. And that fear is not of failure, not of rejection, not even of death, but the fear of losing yourself, the fear of waking up one day and realizing that the person in the mirror looks familiar but feels like a stranger. The fear that somewhere along the way you traded your real thoughts for acceptable opinions, your real dreams for practical choices, your real emotions for convenient silence. And the scariest part is that nobody forced you to do it. You did it yourself in the name of survival, approval, love, success, or simply peace. And at first it feels harmless. You compromise a little. You adjust a little. You tell yourself it's temporary. You tell yourself you'll go back to who you were once things settle, once people understand you, once life becomes stable. But life never settles, and people rarely understand. And suddenly that temporary version becomes permanent, and you don't even remember when you stopped asking yourself what you wanted and started asking what would be safer, easier, or less controversial. And this fear doesn't come like a storm, it comes like fog, slowly, quietly, until one day you realize you don't feel strongly about anything anymore. You don't hate deeply. You don't love wildly. You don't dream dangerously. You just exist, functioning, performing, responding. And the world applauds you for being mature, while your soul mourns the loss of its voice. Because losing yourself doesn't mean disappearing. It means staying visible while being invisible to yourself. It means smiling in photos while feeling hollow inside. It means achieving goals that look impressive but feel empty. It means being surrounded by people yet feeling profoundly alone. And the cruel irony is that the more you adapt, the more you are rewarded. People like you more. When you are predictable, controllable, agreeable, when you don't challenge their comfort, when you don't remind them of their own suppressed selves. And so you learn to shrink, to edit, to filter, to soften your edges, until one day you can't remember what your raw, unfiltered thoughts even sounded like. And then comes the guilt, because how do you explain to yourself that you betrayed yourself without any dramatic moment, without a clear villain, without a single wrong decision, just 1,000 small choices made out of fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being alone, fear of being too much, fear of not being enough. And this fear of losing yourself is especially powerful because it disguises itself as responsibility, as maturity, as realism. It tells you that dreams are childish, emotions are weakness, boundaries are selfish, and authenticity is risky. It tells you that fitting in is safer than standing out, that silence is smarter than honesty, that comfort is better than truth. And slowly you start living a life that looks right but feels wrong, and you wonder why you're tired even when you rest, why you're anxious even when nothing is wrong, why you feel empty even when you're full of accomplishments. And the answer whispers softly inside you. Because you are carrying a life that doesn't belong to you. You are acting in a role you never auditioned for. You are chasing expectations that were never yours. And the body knows before the mind does. It shows up as exhaustion, numbness, irritability, restlessness, a constant urge to escape, to scroll, to distract, to run away from silence. Because silence is dangerous when you've been ignoring yourself for too long. Silence asks questions you've been avoiding. Silence reminds you of the parts of you that are still waiting, still hoping, still hurting. And that's why people fear slow. Wing down, because slowing down makes the inner noise louder, and the fear grows stronger as time passes. Because you start asking, what if I've gone too far? What if I can't go back? What if this version of me is all that's left? What if the real me is buried under years of compromise? And this is where many people give up. They convince themselves that this is adulthood, that this is how life is supposed to feel, muted, heavy, mechanical. But deep down you know that losing yourself was never supposed to be the price of growing up. And here is the truth that psychology rarely says loudly enough. You don't lose yourself all at once. You lose yourself every time you ignore your intuition, every time you say yes when your body says no, every time you silence your emotions instead of understanding them, every time you choose who you should be over who you are. And the fear becomes real when you realize that nobody is coming to save you from this. No achievement will bring you back. No relationship will restore you. No external validation can replace internal alignment. And yet, this fear, as terrifying as it feels, is also a signal, because you can't fear losing something that still exists. The pain you feel is proof that your real self is still alive, still aware, still resisting, still calling you back. And maybe the fear isn't telling you that you're lost forever. Maybe it's telling you that you've drifted far enough to finally notice, and coming back to yourself doesn't mean burning your life down. It doesn't mean dramatic exits or reckless decisions. It starts quietly, with honesty, with listening, with asking yourself uncomfortable questions like, what do I actually feel? What do I actually want? What parts of me have I abandoned to keep others comfortable? And it requires courage, because reclaiming yourself will disappoint people who benefited from your silence, your compliance, your shrinking. But the alternative is living a life where you are present everywhere except within yourself. And the greatest tragedy isn't failure or rejection or loneliness. The greatest tragedy is reaching the end of your life and realizing that you were never fully there for it. That you watched your own existence from a distance, afraid to take up space, afraid to be seen, afraid to be real. And the fear of losing yourself doesn't go away by ignoring it. It fades when you choose yourself in small ways, when you speak one honest sentence, when you honor one boundary, when you follow one instinct, when you allow yourself to feel without judgment, because finding yourself again isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be, and that version of you is still there, waiting patiently, not angry, not blaming, just waiting for you to come back. And maybe this moment, this realization, this fear, is not the end of you. Maybe it's the beginning of finally coming home.